but knowing that it's Bang Bang McFang Fang Eric Swalwell trying to look cool and hip, taka, putting out the most cringeworthy videos, I can bank that this too shall be supreme cringe. Behold.
Hey, Congressman.
What's going on, man?
What the fuck is up with ICE racially profiling people?
Oh, you saw that video too, where a woman's in a parking lot and an ICE agent comes up and says,
Was you born here? Was you born here, man? I told you was you born here.
"Are you a citizen of the U.S.?" I mean, come on. I mean, does that feel like America? Does that feel like freedom, that someone would be so targeted because of the color of their skin or the accent they have or the parking lot that they're in? I mean, these masked bandits, and that's what they are right now. They're running around like they're invincible. Accountability is coming. When Democrats are in the majority, the masks are coming off, and we're going to make sure you follow the law, and it starts to feel like freedom again.
Let me get my face in here.
Hey, Congressman.
What's going on, man?
What the fuck is up with ICE
What
racially?
the F is up? Are we looking at the same thing? Is he silly? What the F is up? Because they think it's cool, people, to swear now. Now, there's nothing wrong with swearing unless you're doing it out of character to play a character in your official capacity as congressman. Like, I can assure everybody of one thing. Had I won my run for the People's Party of Canada, for those of you who don't know, VIva for I, former Montreal litigator, I ran for the People's Party of Canada. Had I won and had I become a member of parliament, you would see a different tone in my tweets by and large. I wouldn't be calling Elizabeth May, the leader of the NDP, a drunken retard. I mean, I might, maybe I would, who knows? These idiots have decided it's cool to swear. What I love about Bang Bang McFang Fang Swalwell, Swallowwell. Sorry, I just threw up in my mouth a little bit there. Is you can tell he's uncomfortable with what he said. Look at he's speaking like with a bit of a frog. It's like,
Profiling people?
Oh, you saw that video too,
We saw that
where
video.
a woman's in a parking lot and an ICE agent comes up and says,
Was you born here?
Now, by the way, I don't know what's going on in the broader context of the 3-second clip that we saw here. A woman in a parking lot might be the way you pull over people selling things that are not, currency. I don't know what the heck was going on before or after that led to them detaining a woman in a parking lot of a Walmart. What, did she have a sign up that, I can't even make, not even jokes, but I don't know. Who was I listening to talking about? Well, if you're looking for illegal aliens who crossed the border from the southern border with Mexico, you probably are not going to be looking for too many Polacks. You might be looking for some Russians, incidentally, because a lot of Russians are coming over the southern border. You might be looking for some Chinese. You might be looking for some Middle Eastern people who are coming over the border as well. But by and large, you're not going to be profiling the people with thick Irish accents now, are you? Because they're probably not coming from the southern border illegally. Anyhow, Swalwell's an idiot. It's fantastic. I love it. I can bank on it. If I want to start with something stupid I just realized that's driving me crazy. There we go. Now we're symmetrical. You want to start with something stupid that's going to make you want to throw up a little bit in your mouth. Bang Bang McFang Fang Swallowwell is the man to do it with. Good afternoon, everybody. It's the Sunday show on a Monday. For those of you who don't know, I was off in Switzerland gallivanting around with my now good friend, Matt Kors. You see, look, I put up not enough content, but I've been talking about what we were doing in Switzerland for long enough. I won't belabor it. I think everybody knows. I was off in Switzerland hosting a panel with Chris Pavlovsky, CEO of Rumble. Ivan Soto-Wright, CEO of MoonPay, and Paolo, I don't want to mess up his last name, Agoino, and I screwed it up earlier, CEO of Tether. About their partnership, we were talking about what's going on. It was a Bitcoin conference. And again, people, I'm not proselytizing Bitcoin, and there's no but to that. I think I understand it a little better. I think I understand its risks, its perils, its potential limitations, its potential possibilities. I'm not proselytizing. I'm not yet there, and I don't proselytize anything, so I'll never get there. All this to say, I'm freaking tired. We missed the Sunday show because we flew. Okay, well, I'm just going to throw a little anecdote in. Make sure I have actually given Barnes the link. I think I have. I'll tell you about Europe. For those who don't know, we flew to get to Switzerland. We flew from Miami to Atlanta, Atlanta to Milan, and then drove from Milan to Lugano, Switzerland. I say this with tongue-in-cheek love. Italy's a backwards country, okay? People like the stereotypes of Italy, they're true. And stereotypes, some like to call them mean, unfair characterizations. Other people like to call them like time-tested and true tendencies. Europeans work on a different schedule. They work on a different pace. They work at a different speed. And that's good for Europe. And I say this actually sincerely, like it's a different culture. It's a different everything. I prefer the American culture. I prefer the American spirit. I prefer the American way of life. I prefer American infrastructure, because as bad as things are in certain cities here, you get to Italy. I thought that airport was going to collapse. I thought the overpass where we got with our car was going to collapse. There was the protective barrier around the airport. I thought it was a detention center. Seriously, I'm not trying to be funny. It was that green sort of accordion-like plastic barricade with chicken wire. And then I realized, oh, we're in the detention. That was the protective barrier of the airport. We drive over to Lugano. Lugano is a totally different country, even though it's adjacent to Italy. It's kind of an amazing thing what happens when you enforce immigration laws and control who comes into your country. There's a tangible material difference between Switzerland and Italy. One is open borders and the other is not. Of course, that's not to say Switzerland is good for their closed borders and their prohibitive cost of living that makes sure that, the undesirables don't come in. Switzerland, on a business perspective, is where certain types of business gets done. People offshore or bringing their accounts for tax havens, whatever. Probably has its own underbelly as well. I'm going to be polite to Switzerland. The hell was I saying? All this to say, yesterday, the flight back, my goodness, we go through Paris. It was a 9.5-hour flight from Paris to Miami. I watched 4 movies. I'm going to stop with the anecdote after this and get to the show. I watched 4 movies. American Sniper. I'll post the reviews to Twitter. I posted the reviews to locals already. There was a movie that I watched called Sinner. I just want to make sure that I got the movie right. Sinner with Michael B. Jordan. Michael B. Jordan. I've never seen a racist movie before. Sinners. A supernatural horror movie. I don't use the word racist very often. I'm using the word racist to describe this piece of absolute filth. If you don't know what the movie's about, for the first hour and a quarter, you're like, oh, this is interesting. It's a timepiece crime thriller of 1930s Mississippi about 2 seemingly criminal brothers who come back down from Chicago to start a speakeasy or a bar and a casino in the Mississippi. And then it turns into a vampire horror movie where white people are trying to kill all the black people because the white people are the literal devils trying to ask for permission to get into the bar. And they literally bite the black people who then become zombies and then kill the other black people. They had a scene in the movie where the white Irish, blood on his mouth, was doing an Irish dancing jig outside the bar with a bunch of other white folk who were all they were there to do is be the white devil, literally. It was an offensive piece of trash. I want my time back, and I'm never going to get it back. So I expect everyone in that movie to send me a check. And everyone in that movie should be put in jail. Okay, there I said, tongue in cheek. Okay. It really was an absolute piece of filth, that movie. I haven't seen the movie Get Out, which I understand also is another movie that features white people being the devil, trying to do bad things to black people. It was an absolute piece of propaganda filth. I'm presuming that's meant in tongue-in-cheek. So that's it. That's my movie reviews. American Sniper, very subpar, but I'll get for it. Okay, now, before Barnes gets in here, people, and speaking of criminality, I want to thank our sponsor of the day, which is Home Title Lock. Hold on a second. Let me bring it up here. I got to bring this up here. Boom shakalaka. Home Title Lock. Hold up. My God, everything all backed up here. Oh, come on. I hear a kid making some noise. Hold on, people. Okay, there we go. Want to make sure get things backed up. I'm going to bring another screen up and scroll this down. Jokes aside, peeps, when we moved down to Florida, I discovered something that I actually didn't know existed in Canada, which is home title fraud. I mean, we have it in Canada, but it doesn't seem to be quite as prevalent here. If you are a homeowner in America, not for our Canadian brethren, you need to listen to this. The FBI has been warning about a type of real estate fraud on the rise called title theft. Your equity is the target. And how it works is very simple because most people don't realize a lot of this documentation is public and easily accessible. Criminals forge your signature on a single document, use a fake notary stamp, and file it with the county. And just like that, on record, they will own your home. Using your ownership, They can take out loans against your equity, even sell your property, and you don't know about it until foreclosure or collection notices show up in the mail. That's why I've partnered with Home Title Lock, so you can protect your equity and find out today if you're already a victim. Use my promo code. Go to HometitleLock.com. You'll get a free title history and a report and a free trial and up to $1 million triple lock protection. That's 24/7 monitoring of your title records, urgent alerts on any changes, and if fraud occurs, their US-based restoration team will spend up to $1 million to fix it. It's an amazing thing. When we came down, we discovered things, learned things, and learned of this. It's scary. And $1 million, they're not an insurance company. They will fight and make sure that whatever wrong has been righted. Actually, I just got off a call with them to make sure I understood everything as well. And it's an interesting thing because, depending on who perpetrates the fraud, it's easier or more difficult to remedy. Sometimes fraud is perpetrated by lawyers, friends, family, people who don't think people should be able to manage their own properties. And they can do this, and it's actually shockingly easy. Go to HometitleLock.com, use promo code VIVA, and you will get all the protection that you need. And it's fantastic. All right, now, let me see where Barnes is. Does Barnes have the link? I might not have sent Barnes the link. Hold up. Wait a minute. Something ain't right. Where's Barnes? Let me send Barnes the link here. And then I got some updates on the ostrich farm, but I need to read them and make sure that I understand them before I report on them. So that's that. All right. And now let's make sure that we are live across all platforms. We're live in vivabarneslaw.locals.com, but I'm not on the right window. Gosh, someone just put, you want to say, we have the best memes on earth in Rumble, in locals, but we also have, who found this picture? I mean, that's me. That's what I look like. If we freeze something in the middle of a frame, that's what I will look like. All right, peeps. I'll start with a Canadian story, a Canadian issue. Want me to see something here? I stole the title to the White House, says SVA 123. You may or may not want to actually be there. Yeah, all right. Okay. Did you guys see, the news of the weekend, we're going to get into this when Barnes gets here, is Trump going nuts on Canada because of the Doug Ford, Premier of Ontario, running an ad which, I say impactful. It was a well-produced ad, but absolutely dishonest in its portrayal of what Ronald Reagan said. And it's an amazing thing. So the guy who, I'll bring this up. I don't want to put anyone on blast, but to the extent I already posted this on Twitter, the individual has already been put on blast. When you discover the truth of things, let me see here. Benny, did he delete the original post? I think he might have. Yeah, he might have deleted his original post. That is interesting. Post is unavailable. This was a independent journalist who works for the New York Times. If I go to it, what happens? Oh, look at that. Interesting. Deleted. Doug Ford ran an ad in Ontario, and it was a spliced together audio montage of things that Ronald Reagan allegedly said about tariffs that were allegedly not flattering and allegedly critical of tariffs. And thanks to the aggregate knowledge of the interwebs, actually the first person who I think, I'll give credit to the person who found this original clip. People were running with this saying, oh, look at this. And there was a guy who actually posted the video saying Trump is big mad that Reagan said what he said about tariffs. And it was, Trump accused him of taking it out of context, and it wasn't. And here's the video. And the video that the individual posted conveniently cut off about 55 seconds too early. And if you haven't seen it, I think many of you have, but enjoy it nonetheless.
Now, it hasn't always been easy. There are those in the Congress, just as there were back in the 30s, who want to go for the quick political advantage, who risk America's prosperity for the sake of a short-term appeal to some special interest group, who forget that more than 5 million American jobs are directly tied to the foreign export business, and additional millions are tied to imports. Well, I've never forgotten those jobs, and on trade issues, by and large, we've done well.
That's where it cut out. That's where the video that everyone's
Well, I've never forgotten those jobs. And on trade issues, by and large, we've done well. In certain select cases, like the Japanese semiconductors, we've taken steps to stop unfair practices against American products. But we've still maintained our basic long-term commitment to free trade and economic growth. So, with my meeting with Prime Minister Nakasone and the Venice Economic Summit coming up, it's terribly important not to restrict a president's options in such trade dealings with foreign governments. Unfortunately, some in the Congress are trying to do exactly that. I'll keep you informed on this dangerous legislation because it's just another form of protectionism, and I may need your help to stop it. Remember, America's jobs and growth are at stake. Until next week, thanks for listening, and God bless you.
Is that not, first of all,
now,
he's a great president. He speaks well. How they made fun of his intelligence, and he was just an actor. How they could claim that what Reagan was doing was a full-throated disavowal of tariffs. I appreciate the broader context of this statement. On the one hand, he is saying, free trade has certain benefits and tariffs have certain risks. On the other hand, most people with half an modicum of intellectual reasoning understand that what he was doing was not bookending, but rather buffering the statement he was going to give, which was, let me impose tariffs, with an argument as to why I don't worry about me exploiting tariffs abusively or to the point where it would hamper American jobs or compromise American jobs. Robert, when he says the piece of legislation that he's talking about was Congress trying to pass a piece of legislation to restrict the president's ability to impose tariffs, and that's what he was referring to as a form of protectionism that might actually cost American jobs. I'm not wrong on that.
Yeah, no, that's correct. Even though he was inconsistent on his own trade policies, philosophically and otherwise, that particular statement was him wanting to have carte blanche and negotiating authority, which is what Trump wants. So they misused that statement to represent something exactly the opposite of what he was trying to say. And so I guess Trump, hit Canada with more tariffs. I don't know if that was the wisest political strategy, given he's on the eve of the Supreme Court argument, but he was correct about the facts, not Canada.
Robert, first of all, how goes the battle?
Good.
I couldn't get you the cigar cutter I wanted because I was saying I'm going to go. I only had a carry-on. I'm not coming over with a blade. I'm so stupid. You're out in foreign lands. You think, I'll get gifts for people that I could get anywhere and ship from anywhere. Being in Switzerland and getting it. And,
you know what they have in Switzerland? You just need to pack in some.
Robert, I'm not taking any chances coming over the border, sir. So what's
I'm not saying you could put like a different label on them and it wouldn't cause an issue. Just hypothetically speaking.
No, I'm subject to enhanced scrutiny because of the way I look when I cross a border, sir. What do we have on the menu for today?
We've got all the geopolitics, Russia sanctions, China trade, Venezuela conflict. And Gaza ceasefire on the geopolitics front. That Trump is traveling this week in Asia, dealing with some of those controversies and conflicts. My law firm, and a young lawyer that works for me was threatened by a combination of a nutty rabbi and a loony preacher over an issue concerning representing Owen Schroyer. I'll get into some of that. We've got what is all this cattle farmer dispute here in the U.S.? Why are prices rising? Well, why is Trump pretending that bailing out Argentine farmers is somehow a solution to U.S. farm prices? What is that all about? What does it go? Senator Mike Lee and some others, Congressman Thomas Massey, still doing God's work in the House, have some ideas on that regard. Antitrust, Google and Apple facing it. And there might be an antitrust connection to the cattle farmer dispute I was just referencing. We've got SCOTUS, National Guard, is going to be presumably this week resolving that issue, and tariffs oral argument. They are extending it and expanding it. You can even get involved in the prediction markets as to which way SCOTUS might rule on Trump's tariffs. It might result, for those people who haven't processed it all, it's not just about Trump's tariffs going forward. It might compel Trump to give refunds to everybody, which would create a budgetary problem because of how tariff revenue has been used to paper over certain issues. We've got all kinds of trans issues in court, again, as various judges are demanding that trans get funded, trans get protected. The Minnesota Supreme Court now says you have a constitutional right for men to compete in women's sports in that state. Melania in a bit of legal trouble. In a lawsuit with Michael Wolff, the former reporter, who has a very unique form of an anti-slap case, bringing it himself, which is a little bit different. The meme coin dispute, another pump and dump scheme in which Melania Trump has been implicated only indirectly, not directly. OpenAI sued for causing suicide. So where might that go in terms of the chatbot world? As AI announced its new monetary scheme. What is it going to be? Oh, AI porn. That's right. Something they said they were never going to get involved in. They're going to get involved in. The Mueller case has finally come to an end. John Brennan referred for criminal prosecution. James Comey and Big Tish James demand dismissals on the grounds they don't like how the prosecutor was appointed. And a renewed version of selective prosecution. We'll see if the court system suddenly rediscovers that doctrine. And Mike Davis and a bunch of others, even Laura Logan, others are out there saying Obama and Hillary are right about to get indicted. How probable is that? The NBA poker indictments or the gambling indictments that were much ado about nothing, really. We'll get into that. And last but not least, the legality of the stablecoin revolution, 95% of which we just covered in a separate interview with Brent Johnson of the Dollar Milkshake there. You can get into greater deep dive there, but we'll cover just some of the top of the landscape here.
Well, let's start with the stablecoin stuff because it's sort of consistent with, in line with what I just got back from. So we just talked about it for an hour with Brent Johnson, Santiago Capital. Everybody.
Yeah. And you were there in Switzerland interviewing people. Wasn't like one live stream was like 8 hours or something? It was like, I was like, hold on, this is a live. So some stream was like, I turned on, I was like, holy crap, it's like 7 hours. These people talking in Switzerland.
Jeez, well, no, there were on the main stage. It was just all day, but broken up into hours. There is talk of the U.S. I mean, the Genius Act and the Clarity Act.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny that they're befuddling geniuses and they require clarity. Can you summarize, like, just summarily what the Genius Act does? Basically, it acknowledges the legitimacy of stablecoins and enacts. I don't know if it enacts some sort of regulatory framework just yet, but it legitimizes, if not yet institutionalizes, the use of or the potential use of stablecoins, which themselves are a digital currency that, in theory and in practice, to the extent that they're done properly, have to be backed at a 1-to-1 ratio of people who buy the digital coin. That dollar investment has to be used to actually buy and have on a reserve actual dollars to back up the digital dollars. What does the Genius Act do that people are so optimistic about?
Well, fundamentally, it was about unleashing blockchain technology into the financial space to provide more financial opportunity for the unbanked globally and to provide some degree of security and confidence in these new blockchain technologies that are being essentially monetized and financialized, programming it quite literally into code in ways that the unreliability and uncertainty from the FTX Sam Bankman-Fried cases, the Binance case, he just got a pardon last week. That's interesting. He was getting pardons who hadn't. And all of it relates to the guy who didn't get a pardon, but at least finally got his case dismissed, which is Roger Ver. Roger Ver, about a decade ago, started saying, by the way, the government is out to co-opt blockchain technology. They're out to steal it, to suppress and steal your rights and deny the exit ramp that crypto can be and put you back into the entrance ramp, back into the control grid. And as Brent Johnson detailed in our interview with him, that is in fact how the Clarity Act and the Genius Act can be used. Not a guarantee they do use them in that way, but they absolutely, what is being sold is regulatory certainty and safety, because this is how they always sell regulatory control, is in fact underneath it the capacity to while it does help the tethers and those kind of and the rumbles of the world and the truths. I mean, Truth doesn't have much financial future as an independent media platform. It does. Its entire economic future is based and tied into crypto and that world. It helps provide economic stability and certainty to that world by these laws. So I was in favor of that aspect of it. But if misused and abused, it can become a form of a global central bank digital currency. It can weaponize the access to the dollar in the same way we're seeing with Russian sanctions currently, and in ways that disturb and unsettle the rest of the world and enhance the probability of conflict rather than diminish it, and basically returns us back to the control grid that crypto was supposed to be the exit ramp from.
What the argument I asked? Well, first of all, I will ask the question here about George Soros, how he went and almost bankrupted the Bank of England.
And
But-
who he might be connected to in the current White House.
Well, okay, we're going to get there after this question, Robert. So the risks, I appreciate. There were people also saying this was a great way to internationalize the national debt by effectively, I don't know, spreading out the U.S. debt throughout the world and giving other people access to borrow against it, or buy into it. What do you? I mean, I'm not sure I even understand that fully. Is that a potential perk?
Well, Trump is saying so. I mean, it sounded to me like that the expansion of the use of the digital dollar, Trump believes, can in fact help him monetize the debt. And how you monetize the debt is you just inflate it away, right? The benefit of inflation is, okay, let's say I owe Viva $100. If I control the currency, and I all of a sudden that $100 is worth, I pay him back in $100, but it's worth $1. In real terms, because of the diminished purchasing power of the dollar, I've paid back my debt, but Viva's got screwed. And so that's what the risk is of that. And they always run a careful negotiation with that. Trump has said this overtly in the past, why he doesn't care about debt. But the issue is, if people believe that, then that's going to have economic consequences. They're like, oh, you're just going to monetize the debt. That changes how they perceive the value of the treasury, how they view the value of investing in the U.S. economy. That's why Trump will let it float now and then not publicly discuss it. It's the backup plan in case there's no other way to meaningfully pay back the debt, because he controls the currency in which the debt is issued. What's very unique about the U.S., unlike, say, Argentina, we had to bail out, is our debt is in our own currency. We control it. And no one else does. And the utility to being able to control it potentially globally, because of those that don't understand the Eurodollar system, it's dollars issued not by us, but by private banks around the world. Well, what happens if that's just now the digital version of that, except individuals can basically figure it out just by issuing it to themselves through this new form of stablecoin currency, if you will. All of a sudden, we have control through money over a much broader range of people, populations, behaviors, etc. And it could become a nightmare. In other words, what could become the tool of freedom could become the tool of suppression. So watching it and monitoring it, how it's used and how it develops is going to be key. And unfortunately, you hear remember Marjorie Taylor Greene dissented on this? She was like, I'm worried about aspects of this bill. I want this to be fixed because I don't want this possibility to come about. She was right. I was still for the bill because I'm for more alternative mechanisms of currency distribution, but I shared her concern. And she was one of the only people expressing that concern. I mean, usually if you're looking for someone to stand up to the administrative state or the